Hi class, Happy New Year. It is so lovely to be back with you, and I'm excited to show you today a 3D winter polar bear. So I'm going to show you exactly how to make this, and he is a cute little guy with a little 3D face and body. So that's what we're going to make today. So the first thing we need is paper, and you can use cardstock or thick paper, or you can use watercolor paper. And since I had extra watercolor paper, that's what I used. So we're gonna start with drawing our polar bear. And I just did it in a heavy pencil to show you, but we're going to cut him out or her out, however you like. And we're just gonna cut out his little body, and you want it to be as rounded as you can because they are quite fluffy and sweet little animals. They're not actually sweet, but they are very cute and wintry. And so I wanted to make sure we were able to do a fun winter craft today, since it's January, and in most of the world it's winter. So there are his back legs. And we're going to assemble these now, and then we'll paint the background so that we can glue him on. And you can use glue or tape to put him together. And for the sake of time and drying, I'm going to use tape. If you have a long time that you can wait for this to dry, which you will, then you can easily use glue and then let it dry. So I'm just cutting out his head. Now his head is not really a circle. It's kind of a very rounded upside down triangle. So you really want him to have a little bit of a wide top of his head and then a little bit of a jaw in the bottom of his head. So you can see we just want to give it a little, the nice thing is you can't really mess up the polar bear's head because it's just about perfect. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually glue the ears on, and that'll give them a chance to stick on while we're doing the rest of our cutting and taping. There's one ear. Now for the younger art students, certainly your lead learner can help you figure out how to cut these out, or you can ask a parent or your tutor to help you in cutting them out, because some of them are a bit small. Or you can just take your time, or you can do a really big polar bear, and that would be a little bit easier and not quite so fiddly. So there we go. And then you can see I have these two little pieces of paper, and we're actually going to weave these together. So I'm going to take them like this into a little, just stick the two ends together with a little bit of glue. So we're going to use glue and tape today. You just want a little bit because we do want it to dry, and I'm just going to kind of wipe it around, and we're going to interweave it. So you can see the top here, and I'm just going to push it down like this. Then the next one push down, and then down, and we're just alternating to make a little woven. And this is what will give his head the ability to kind of bounce and pop up and just look really cute. All right, and then on the last, just do one more dot of glue. And I'm going to take one of my heavy items over here. You can use maybe one of your paints and just set it on top, and that way it will stay put together. And so I'm just going to weigh that down so it will dry. And then I'm going to, I wanted to give my polar bear a little bit of a cute face and ears. So you can easily use a chalk pastel, but I'm just using my very own makeup. If you're going to use your mom's makeup or your tutor's makeup, please ask them first. And I'm just going to use my pinky and get a little bit of pink. And I'm just going to dab it on the inside of the ears here. and you'll see what it looks like at the end. It's really cute. And then on the little cheeks, because it's really cold outside. And that's just a little extra something you can do just to make your cute little polar bear even cuter. So then we'll take our ears. Oh, they're tiny and fiddly. And we're just gonna flip them around. And I'm gonna put a little dot of glue, teeny, on each one. And then I'll just use the glue to pick it up. You can wipe the glue around, and we're just gonna put our little polar bear's ears on. And they'll dry while we're painting. And you can just kind of move them around to be exactly where you want them to be. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna put these off to the side to dry. And then we can take a piece of just regular old tape. And you're not gonna see this tape, so you can use any tape you want. Washi tape, Scotch tape, anything you want. And I'm gonna put a little piece of tape on the back of the front legs, and then I'm just gonna flip these legs around just so you don't see the pencil. And we wanna see all 4 legs, so we're just gonna kind of put it at an angle like this so you can see all the legs. Just gives it a little bit of a 3D appearance. And then I'll set this aside as well. And then we will paint, which is the fun bit. So I've got a piece of watercolor paper, and I'm actually gonna use acrylic paints today, washable acrylics, since I'm right on my counter and I didn't want to ruin my counter. So we're gonna just take our wet brush and we will start just making lines across the top. So I'm gonna start with purple because, as you all know, it is my favorite color. And we're just gonna do a whole line of purple side to side. And then another line, and then another line, all the way down. And like all art, nothing has to be perfect because we're gonna actually get all of these together in just a few minutes. And then right at the bottom as well. And then I will wash my brush over here in the water. And then I'll take the next color, which I will do pink. And we're just gonna go right underneath the purple on each one, right underneath of all of our purple. And depending on what colors you have, mine were very bright. So I actually added some white to them just to kind of tone them down a little bit. Because this is a winter scene, we really want it to look cold and muted and not too bright, even though this is really beautiful colors. And you can see I've got paint on my finger and it's getting all over the place, and this is totally fine. Just adds different depth to our art. So we'll go in there. And now I'm going to take my paintbrush, and it's just wet, and I'm going to go all the way from the top to the bottom. So we're almost making it like a really soft watercolor. That's why it doesn't matter if we missed any spots, because this is going to dry and look so pretty. And then if you feel like it's still too bright or you just want a different effect, you can go over the whole thing in white once this is dry and just kind of mute it down a little bit, or you can water down your colors with white, and that's fine too. I actually like the bright. Okay, and then I'm just gonna clean up my workspace a little bit with a wet kitchen towel because I have paint everywhere. Oh, including on my little guy's legs. That's okay. All right. So let me set this down off to the side so it can dry a little bit. And I'm gonna tidy up my little polar bear because he got a little bit of paint on him. That's okay. He just stepped in some ice. Okay, so our area is clean. And if you have a hair dryer, you can blow dry this to get it to dry a little faster. I didn't want to use a hair dryer because it's very loud, so I'm actually just going to dab at it with my paper towel and just dry it a little bit. Okay, let me just get this last piece. There we go. All right, so the next step is to add some stars to our night sky. So I'm just gonna take a regular old toothbrush, and obviously I'm not gonna use this on my teeth now that I've got paint on it, but I'm gonna wet it a little bit, dab it off, and put it in the white paint. And I'm gonna take off some of the excess, and then we'll just add some stars to our sky. And this would even be a great place to use glitter. If you wanted to sprinkle a little glitter on here, it would make it a very sparkly and beautiful winter scene. Okay, so now I'm going to take just a little flat clean brush, and I'm gonna just grab some of this white, and I'm just gonna go across the bottom, pretty thick. Just to give myself a little hill for this polar bear to stand on. Now, because this is still wet background, my hill is getting a little bit of color in it, which is totally fine. And we're just gonna go really nice and thick on there, make it beautiful and snowy. And we could even put a little tree back here if we wanted to. There's so many things you can do to really make this beautiful. One of the paintings I saw, they actually put in a tree right here, which I can do because I have some paint. And I'm just gonna grab a plate and put a tiny dab of brown and a little bit of green. And let's just decide on the spot that we can do a beautiful little tree. And what I'm gonna do is just start back here and just do a little bit, and then maybe over here. And then we can go really high with this one. And I'm just going with brown right now because we're just gonna do our trunk first, and then we can start with some branches. And then we'll fill them in. And there's really no way to mess this up because we're just making some beautiful trees. And then we'll add some green in just a minute. So I'm just gonna start here at the top, and we'll go, I think, way out here for our tree. And starting with brown like this is going to give us a little bit of depth with our tree. And our polar bear is going to be covering some of this. So you can take the part of it that you like the least and you can cover it with your polar bear, or you can use your polar bear to highlight your favorite part. So now that we've got that bit done, I'm going to mix a little bit of my brown into my green because my green is really bright. And I really want it to be a darker color. And we'll just start, just like we've done with our Q-tips before, we can just go in and dab to give our pine tree a little bit of shape. Beautiful. And then we'll just add a little bit here and there. And like I said, adding in that brown first really made a difference in the depth of our trees. So then if we wanted to, we can come back in with just a little bright green. And after this dries, you can go in and you can spray snow all over it with your toothbrush, and they can be beautiful snowy trees. So now we've got our winter scene. We've got trees far away. We've got a big tree up front. We have our adorable little guy here. And we have our kind of origami pop out that we made earlier by just weaving in the two strips together. So now I'm going to take a little bit of glue on my sweet little polar bear's face, just on the back of his head. And I'm going to wipe this around so it'll dry pretty quickly. And because I don't have the luxury of time for you guys to sit here and wait for my paint to dry, I will use a piece of tape to attach the back of my polar bear. And you can see it's so cute. And the little bit of makeup that I put on the face really makes it look real. And we could put it right here with a little bit of tape. Now my paint is still quite wet, especially on the bottom where I drew my hill. So I'm going to pop in here with a piece of tape and just attach my polar bear. And I think I want her right here. And the beauty is you can take our trees and you can add them in. You can put in a really lovely moon in the sky. We can just add a little moon up here. With our white paint. The sky's the limit. You can do anything you like because you're the artist. And I would love to add some snow to my trees, but I think it would just smear them pretty good. So I'm just going to add a little depth to my sky. And you can see what a beautiful kind of ghostly effect these last pieces are that we added in. It's just a sweet little polar bear sitting in the snow. So as you can remember, we've got our polar bear with different colors. And this one we didn't put any trees or any hill. And this one we were a little bit more creative right in the moment and made some creative decisions because we're the artist. And it really turned out so beautiful. So I'm gonna wait for this to dry and I'm gonna add a little snow to my trees, and then I will share the final picture when I'm done.